Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Notre Dame fans, whenever you are tuning in to this week's Mike Goolsby Show, whether you're live, watching back, listening via podcast, whatever the case may be. Appreciate you for making us a part of your day. I'm Mike Singer. I run our recruiting operation and YouTube operation over at Blue and Gold, and the handsome man next to me on the screen is none other than former Notre Dame captain and linebacker Mike Goolsby. Love the J Love shirt. It's fantastic, Mike.
Let's get that out of the way. So for folks that don't know, one of the best running backs in college football, number 4 on your roster, number 1 in your heart, Jeremiah Love, he's got a website. It's pretty simple. It's jeremiahlove.com. Go get you some merch. I'm still waiting on that Homefield order, Singer, so I'm like, I got to add to the wardrobe. So just free shout out to Jeremiah, and stuff's priced reasonable. You're supporting the NIL deal, supporting the kid. So yeah, bought this, ordered this shirt. It came quick. It came like in a week.
It looks good, dude.
Coming off the game that he had, I figure, give him a little shout out.
Yeah. And from what you had texted, you were like, it looks good, quality's good. It's a good, solid shirt. We'd love to see it. So shout out.
Man, like we said, if you're going to be on here for 5 years, you got to add to this Notre Dame wardrobe,
Folks, please hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to the channel for more content. If you're listening via podcast, appreciate you for making us a part of your day. I just ask that you would leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to your podcast. Goolsby, we got a lot to talk about, but just kind of opening thoughts on the Irish's 51-14 win. Anything to take away? Anything you learned, like big picture wise?
Big picture, it's another fun win. I thought that Georgia Tech game was a fun win categorically. I think anytime you can turn the ball over on defense, you sprinkle a little bit of special teams magic, it ends up being a fun game to watch. And that was my takeaway here. Handle business. We keep getting incrementally better. We'll go into different facets of the team.
Yeah,
but kind of an improvement across the board. But did we learn anything? That's where I'm kind of stuck at, Mike, is what did we actually take away? You beat a top 25 team. How good were they? How good weren't they? That's where I'm at.
Or just how bad were they, Mike? Like you beat the brakes off Navy on the scoreboard, but
the turnovers.
I mean, like, I'm not trying to downplay Notre Dame's performance. They shellacked them, but it's like I would be curious on a different day when Navy doesn't shoot themselves in the foot a bunch of times. So I know that's something you wanted to talk about, Mike, was did we beat the brakes off Navy?
I mean, it's up to everybody's individual interpretation, but it was like what you expect of a Navy execution, of a Navy operation. What we saw yesterday was like the polar opposite, Mike. I mean, they were sloppy. And we played okay on defense, but I'm not going to say that we played lights out. Tackling was kind of poor, a lot of bad angles on the defensive side of the ball. And a lot of those turnovers, like, we'll absolutely take them, but they were kind of like just unforced. It wasn't like we, were punching balls out, this and that, save for a couple. Yeah. But it did seem like Navy was a little like shook, like whether it was the speed of our defense or the atmosphere, whatever it was, getting behind early, something like that. I mean, they got out of pocket, like out of character rather.
Yeah. The offensive line shift, Mike, bringing Billy back and not putting him at right guard where he started the season. So he starts the season there. Pendleton's at left guard. He gets hurt. He comes back, replaces Pendleton at left guard. Spindler stays in at right guard. That move surprised you? Like, okay, Schrouth's back. Did you think he was going to play? And then did it surprise you that he moved over to Pendleton's spot instead of reclaiming Spindler's or just staying on the bench?
No, it didn't. I mean, Rocco's the issue with the offensive line all season. And they played well this game. Like, Riley had time. But is that due to, like, Schrouth being back? Or is it just, Navy's not the best defensive front, right? The talent gap. But no, it didn't surprise me because Pendleton's worst game was against Georgia Tech. Pendleton was bad, right? So who's to say that if Rocco plays poorly, like maybe Billy couldn't slide over there and you'd insert Pendleton. But no, I mean, Pendleton's worst game was Georgia Tech, so no, it doesn't. I don't think that Rocco had played poorly enough where he deserved to get supplanted by a Billy coming back. So no, it makes sense.
Okay.
And again, you got like with Knapp, it's like it's weird to have two brand new starters at left tackle and left guard.
Sure.
So like there's a little bit of a gray hair factor sliding Billy next to a Knapp to help him out.
I'd take credit for the gray hair factor thing. I think that was a Mike Singer term. I didn't invent it, but I brought it to this community. I love it.
I'm pretty sure I did, actually.
Did you?
I wouldn't. Not that I care, because it is. Yeah, it's not like
it's so fun. I love it.
Because I think we were talking about it was something with the coaches, coordinator hires. That's where it came from.
Yeah. I want my coordinators to have gray hair.
Gray hair sandwich, dude. Denbrock and Golden.
Absolutely love it. Ryan McDonald, thank you for the $5 super chat. Says how much of Navy's turnovers were due to trying to do more than their bread and butter triple option and not getting the same reps in practice on that. Mike, do you have any?
Well, some of those muff punt ones were. I mean, that's inexplicable, right? And then that you could maybe base that on the wind. You know, there's all that stuff blowing around on your television screen. I had a buddy that was there, and he said it was dandelions and feathers. It was like organic matter. You know, people were like, is it snowing there? So I think the wind had something to do with it. And I think, again, like you kind of got them because they were down and you sort of then just the speed on Notre Dame's defense, it speeds up everything for them in terms of their reads. But then the quarterback had the hand thing. He's missing snaps. I mean, it was just a bad day. It was a bad day for them.
It was. Gordon Butler, $5 super chat says, I think Notre Dame put in their best run blockers on the offensive line, understanding that Navy pass rush such as it is would
make sense.
All right, that's a tongue twister there, but Goolsby, go ahead.
No, it is well written. I think ND put in its best run blockers on O-line, understanding that the Navy – this is Notre Dame grad. Like, I'll take care of it for you. That the Navy pass rush, such as it is, would only ever be a numbers issue, meaning they're going to bring more than we can block.
Yeah,
and that's been what's ailed the offensive line the past several weeks. Is you've got a younger kid in Pendleton who's standing in the middle of Times Square. That it's just. During rush hour, there's a lot of stuff crossing his face, and you had a Rocco who famously has semi-slow feet.
Apparently, we're just going to super chats, Mike. We'll get to our topic. Let's go into super chats. Love it. These are the good stuff. Andrew Gilmore says, "Who is the best receiver other than Collins or Mike? Is it Bo Collins in your opinion?" So we can just kind of go there because I definitely wanted to talk about this. So Andrew, thank you for the super chat. This was Jordan Faison's best game by far. I tweeted this out. I tweeted this at halftime, right? Faison's season stats prior to today: 4 catches for 29 yards. He only played in 4 games, and those 4 catches came across just 2 games. His stats against Navy in the first half alone: 3 receptions for 48 yards, and then he ended up having another catch for, like 14 yards. So 4 catches, 52 yards on the day. Led the team in both receptions and receiving yards. He flashed, Mike. Bo Collins had himself that 37-yard touchdown himself. Again,
what did we learn? I mean, pull up the star rating of like Navy's defensive backfield, right? You catch my drift. But who's the best receiver? You can always count on Andrew to be a little bit incendiary with his line of questioning. Flexing that Notre Dame degree over here, Singer. I've kind of said it, and Tim and I we're in lockstep on this. To me, that whole room, there's 5 guys that are special in just overall. They're special. Like they would start at like an elite high-end team. Cam Williams, KK Smith, Faison, Bo Collins, and Greathouse. So depending on the week, who's the best at what? I mean, Faison's up there because he's just like, you've seen him catch deep balls. You've seen him break tackles. He's just one of those kids that moves different. By the way, pigeon-toed, bow-legged. Check that box. But I don't believe. I've never believed that Chris Mitchell's the take the top off guy. I think that KK Smith is that guy. So
hashtag talk your shit, Bo. Love that touchdown. Yeah, the Chris Mitchell thing's been interesting because he is not the top off the defense guy like you called. But he, like, as the season has gone along, Mitchell, I mean, I'm talking about a guy who just had 2 catches for 10 yards, but he did have the touchdown in the red zone, but he does seem to be a little bit more reliable in the short to intermediate passing game. But it overall, it's been a disappointing campaign for Chris Mitchell.
When I heard that whole 4-3 thing batted around over spring, I was like, you watch the film, like he doesn't run like he runs a 4-3-4-4. He just doesn't. But then Collins, our best receiver, Mike, he's had some dropsies throughout the year.
The answer is still yes.
Fair enough. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I mean, Tim always talked about before the season, he's got injury stuff, which he didn't really. He played in 10 games in 3 straight seasons, like 10 games each season. And he's been, again, it's Notre Dame receiving we're talking about. So, you gotta put it through that filter. I mean, he's got games of 2 catches for 9 yards and 1 catch for 5 yards, but he's been pretty consistently Notre Dame's top guy, 28 receptions, 359 yards, 2 touchdowns. John says, big game, Brian at it again. We warned LSU fans.
Real quick on the wide receiver thing.
Yeah.
Like a Collins reminds me, and I can never remember their names, but like Javon McKinley, those 4th, 5th round picks that we've had, Miles Boykin. So Collins is a Miles Boykin McKinley in terms of where I kind of see his ceiling. I always thought he'd be he'll play in the NFL, be a 4th, 5th round pick, depending on how well he runs and such. But like a Faison, who does he remind you of? Golden Tate. I mean, in terms of the way their play style, their aggressiveness, the multi-sport athletes, their stature, the way they move, the toughness, all of that. And it's like you would have never drawn up looking at a Golden Tate. You would never assume he's going to like go up and get the ball and take the top off of defense and go be a 50-50 ball guy. But that kind of dog in him, like a Steve Smith type DNA. And I think that Faison's got that. I really do. He's just been hurt all year.
Yeah. Oh, Steve Smith, one of a kind. But I see where you're coming from. I like it, Mike.
Yeah.
Let's go to John's chat. Talking about LSU. Now we can kind of get into this. Mike, we've been doing this show. In 2020, we did the post-game shows with you. And then I think it was 2021. That's when we brought Tim in, right? I think Tim and I did the post-game show starting in 2021. Or maybe that would have been 2022. I don't know. I've been working with you for 4 years. Tim for 3.5 or something. Never, ever have we talked about the AP polls as much as we have. For whatever reason, right? Notre Dame gets forgotten in one poll, according to one of the AP voters. But it's like, oh, Notre Dame drops. We care so much more about the AP poll this year than in years past because of your NIU loss and the A&M win, just such polar opposite games for the Irish. The Notre Dame is just such a lightning rod to talk about on social media, Mike, because you had such a good freaking win, but you do still have NIU on your resume. So let's talk AP poll, kind of big picture with Notre Dame right now.
Yeah, if you're making me, I didn't see it. I sent out a tweet last night. I'm like, I kind of figured that A&M may jump us because they have 2 top 10 wins and knocking off Mizzou. And if I misquote anything, sue me because this isn't my jam. But I think when they beat Mizzou was number 9, and then they just knocked off number 8 last night. And if we're talking about Singer, I want to loop you kind of into this, like the championship lens. You call it a championship filter. A&M looked damn good. Yeah. Like in terms of just, we talked about this like on Patreon in terms of like your frustrations with the team at times as a fan. Like we've never, like we're winning games and we're grinding them out. We keep getting better and better and better, but we never have looked like quite dominant. And to anybody in the AP watching that, primetime game last night, LSU, Texas A&M looked dominant against a team that won a national championship not too many years ago, a top 10 ranked team this year, a great head coach in Brian Kelly. And they look dominant, man. They did. So you can put the poll back up. I'm still not impressed with Penn State.
Yeah.
That Drew Aller is an easy kid not to like, by the way. He got dinged up in that game, so you have to keep an eye on that.
Easy kid not to like. So you don't like Drew Aller?
No. I mean, again, I don't like most quarterbacks, but this goes back to like the Colin Cowherd thing with the quarterbacks in the backward hat. Like he wears like the headband thing and he's got the foofy hair. But no, he like tweaked his knee in that game and he was going to the locker room and then he was like talking shit to like the fans and all this because it was a road game. It was at Wisconsin. It just not a good look. He just strikes me as like a little bit kind of a punk sort of personality. And he's the next, whether it's like Christian Hackenberg, like he's the next young 5-star kid at Penn State that everybody gets geeked out about that'll end up, fizzling out. You know what I'm saying? It's just more of the same over there.
Okay.
Penn State's an easy program not to like.
Okay. So you're fine with where Notre Dame's at right now?
Sure. Yeah, I'm happy to see it. To everybody's point, it doesn't matter. I do find it interesting. You mentioned Singer, you and I doing this for years and years and years. And for years and years and years, old Singer's been trying to like, because I'd be like, you'd ask me a question. I'd be like, Mike, I got the player mentality, man. I just look at it 1 week at a time. And you're like, no, well, you're not a player anymore. I need your analyst take. Like, I can't do it.
Okay.
And it really does seem like the fan base is kind of taking that player mentality and that same mentality that those kids and those coaches in that locker room have. It's like possession by possession.
Yeah,
quarter by quarter, week by week.
Totally level-headed. Yeah, fan base is totally level-headed, Mike. Yeah.
I think it's
80% of them wanted Angeli, in the third quarter of the A&M game. But yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
But people evolve.
Who has evolved? That guy, Riley Leonard. Listen.
Nice segue. What a pro. What a pro. Nice segue.
Chief Brody, thank you for the $2 super chat. Says just get in the playoff and see everyone's beatable. Dude, Riley Leonard, 13 of 21, 178 yards, 2 touchdowns. Not like no picks, but okay, good numbers. But it is the 10 rushes for 83 yards and a touchdown to go on top of that. Mike, every single time this guy gets outside the pocket and he runs for a first down, I think about you. I do.
Dig. What do you mean?
I'm like, I know Goolsby's just like, this is what I like in my quarterbacks. I think about you.
Okay, you said it for me.
Dude, it's all come together. It seems like and again, I get it. It's Navy. They got 2- and 3-star defensive backs everywhere, but it's not just the Navy game. He like these past couple games, he's definitely coming together. Mike, put that thing back on.
We're talking about the quarterback run game, and for a couple years now, that's why I got so excited about a Buckner. We always talk about spontaneity and just backyard football. When stuff breaks down, it's a broken record over here. When stuff breaks down in a high-stakes environment, this game wasn't that, to be clear. But those defensive ends are on scholarship too. They've got NFL aspirations too. So if we get beat, you need a guy that can just make some magic happen with his feet. I've never designed quarterback runs because then you're setting your 6'4", 210-pound quarterback up to take shots that a Jadarian Price is accustomed to taking.
Sure.
But the spontaneity, the backyard football that I've been begging for, it's like now you're getting to see it. It's awesome.
One thing I wanted to talk to you about, Mike, is the showmanship.
Oh, yeah. Let's get into this.
Of Riley Leonard. He seems like just a good locker room guy, just a good old Southern peach. But he makes plays outside the pocket. And he does things that, like I hate doing player comps. Or just anything remotely near it. Everyone's like, don't say that.
That's what you say. It's a fun comp. Say it's a fun.
He does Johnny Manziel like things. He's like he gives me Manziel like a 6'4" Manziel. He does it for me sometimes, but Manziel very memorable, very showy. That's not Leonard. Teeing you up, Mike.
Interesting. So
you say interesting. This is from your notes, Mike.
Yeah, this is from my notes, and my notes are more disjointed than this podcast is. But I just texted Singer, if Riley was more showy or boisterous, fans would like him more. He has zero showmanship, which should be appealing to Notre Dame fans. It's ironic. The fact that he is so ho-hum. A fun comp for me is more Josh Allen, because he's like put the foot down and go, versus Manziel. He's like the Vanderbilt kid, dancing, making wackies. Yeah. There's nothing really zany about the way Riley Leonard does.
Because Manziel would do that and then throw it downfield. Leonard just tucks it and runs. So yeah, that's fun. Yeah,
tuck it and run, and it's like if it's there, take it. But no, I like I said, it's fun to kind of pull Sam Hartman back into the conversation, and would you just take a look at like the fan perspective? Like when Riley played poorly early in the season, it was like he took all the darts. He took all the daggers. And with Sam, there was always excuses. It was never quite Sam's fault. It was Parker's fault. It was the receivers. It was the O-line. It was all these things. But Riley took them all. And now it's like he's playing better and better and better. It's like, when are the fans going to catch up and start like kind of getting on the bandwagon?
Yeah. If you're someone who is like vocal about, and your name's out there, right? Your name's on the message board, you're tweeting about it, people maybe remember your takes, right? And then the guy starts proving you wrong. You don't like to be no one likes a bruised ego. So I think you can just kind of make excuses for it. That would be my thought on some of the folks who are not given Leonard his flowers.
That's fine.
That makes sense. They're having a hard problem giving him his due because they're so hard on him before. I don't know.
It's interesting, but I do think even like if Riley makes a scramble, incredibly athletic play, that we just tend to take things for granted. It's like I think that we're taking Jeremiah Love for granted. I think we take Xavier Watts for granted, right? So, like, even if he would just pick up a miraculous first down with his feet and just give me one of those or something, he does nothing of the sort. And I almost think he would get a little bit more national attention if he was a little bit more showy. I just do. It's not in his nature, which is very appealing at a Notre Dame, but
sure. Yeah, I'm hating that Manziel shout more and more. Andrew Gilmore says, "What quarterback in the past?" Yeah, so Goolsby. What quarterback in the past does Leonard remind you of? Goolsby just said Josh Allen. You said Jake Locker from Washington.
With the feet thing, I mean, obviously Riley doesn't have the arm that Josh Allen does, but we're talking about that specific piece of his game. I remember Jake Locker. He's a first-round pick, Tennessee Titans. Mm-hmm. He was more of like a Tebow type. Yeah, he's probably 6'3", 225. He's the same kind of makeup, kind of a ho-hum guy, grew up kind of rural, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, whoever like your big, white, 6'3 plus, 220 pounds plus quarterback is, they just throw, just kind of lump them in. I guess Leonard's 216, but 210 plus.
I'm telling you, he's thin. In real life, he's thin.
Okay.
So,
Andrew Gilmore, thank you for the super chat.
I'm glad we have him. It's another thing when you're talking about fans, like, for the longest time, it felt like, especially during the offseason, it was like Jadarian Price and Jeremiah Love were thought of as equal. And I always felt like if I was a little bit more pro-Love than I was Price, people were like, yeah, but Price. And it seems like now, this many games into the season, people are starting to realize that, Jeremiah Love's he's different.
He's him.
He's different.
Mike, we got new gear to talk about over at Homefield. Look at this Notre Dame 4 Horsemen National Championships 1924. You got the heavyweight tee, which is that real thick material. You got a long sleeve. You just got a classic tee. You got a hoodie. I talk about Homefield all the time. really putting out new products all the time. So if you're a Notre Dame fan, you can't just go scroll this once. You got to do it multiple times because Homefield does get you geared up as best as possible. What you're going to want to do as Notre Dame makes its run to the college football playoff. Homefield Apparel is a premium collegiate brand based in Indianapolis, and you guys know that I truly do love their clothing. You get that brand new clothing look. Excuse me. Come on, singer. You've only read this 50 billion times. You're messing it up. You get brand new clothing with a retro look, but no retro tears or smells. Trademark Mike Singer. That's my line right there. Homefield, like I said, always rolling out new items, including this really unique. They got this campus classic pullover, and then this Shamrock retro coach's jacket. All like new stuff, very unique, one of a kind stuff. It's at Homefield Apparel. So highly recommend you head over to homefieldapparel.com, check out their entire Notre Dame line. Holiday season's right around the corner. So get something for yourself, get something for a loved one in your life, and spend some coin and get 15% off while you do it when you use the promo code BGI. That helps support us at Blue and Gold. So use that promo code BGI so the folks at Homefield know that we sent you. If you have friends that are fans of other schools, Homefield has licensed clothing for over 180 colleges. I mean, really unique stuff over at Homefield Apparel. So check out Homefield and gear up for football season and beyond. Brock Osweiler? Brock Osweiler. He's definitely not Brock Osweiler. Brock Osweiler was like 6'7", couldn't move really. Don't love that comp. JVit, $10 super chat. He says, "Gents, always a pleasure. Many thanks for the weekly." Brock Osweiler is a decent color analyst, I think.
Yep.
By the way, many thanks for the weekly show. I showed up a bit late. What are you feeling about the rest of the season at this point? I know 1 week at a time. So
JVit, he's a Patreon guy, and I had a lunch with a customer on Friday, and sometimes I'll film these just little shorts. It's like what amounts to a tweet, but you just film it, right? Like a little selfie video. And I was sitting there going Friday afternoon. I'm like, man, Singer, if we can put together a strong win, a convincing win against the Navy, I'm fully ready to like embrace the team with all their shortcomings and just like fully invest, like kind of open your heart back up. And they did exactly what you kind of hoped for. So yeah, I'm super optimistic. And I think, Freeman should get a ton of credit. I mean, say what you want about the schedule. It's not easy to win a football game. You've seen it this year. Anybody can beat anybody, and we just keep winning. And I like Freeman's continued like development. His sideline demeanor is better. I think he's better in press conferences than he was earlier in the season. He continues to look more and more comfortable in that headman role. So it seems like all the arrows are pointing up.
championship lens / filter.
Yeah, what do you think, Mike?
I don't know. It's like I see them looking good these past few weeks, blowing out Stanford, Georgia Tech. I still haven't been able to sit down and watch that game one time fully through. But solid win in Atlanta. You beat up on Navy. It's like, I don't know. I'm optimistic too, but then it's just there's a yin and yang of this for me, Mike. Just like the A&M and NIU, you have these two games on completely opposite spectrum. And when you look at the schedule, FSU, Virginia, Army, and USC, like FSU's not going to test you. They're what, 1-6, 1-7? I thought they were going to get up for that Miami game.
Yeah.
I think Miami covered the spread in that one. Virginia, okay. Navy level, Georgia Tech level. Like Virginia is okay Georgia this Tech, year, right?
Yeah.
Army, kind of more of the same. And then USC will be a test, no doubt. At USC, I don't care how mid the Trojans are this season. At USC, in front of 1,500 fans, it's going to... But still, at USC is going to be a test at the end of the season. It's just like I'm happy they have this schedule so they can just win out. Good for business. Notre Dame's going 11-1. But I don't know, Mike. I don't know. It's how much of this is fool's gold. I truly don't know. But when you watch them, Leonard's like the defense looks great. Leonard's improving. Bo Collins has some drops, looks reliable. You got a amazing backfield. Aeneas Williams continues to look good as that like third down back. Price and Love, fantastic. The offense is looking better, but I like I said, Mike, it's yin and yang. I just keep going back and forth on it.
The longest non-answer answer in recorded history right there, folks. You witnessed it. I feel you though, Singer. I feel you.
Okay, yeah.
I know what you mean. Yeah, because like that's how we opened up the show. Great win, fun game. Did we learn anything? Hard to say. And then again, this is multiple weeks in a row. You got to see Oregon, Ohio State. You got to see Bama, Georgia. You got to see Georgia, Tennessee. In this game, you get to see LSU, A&M. It's like you turn off your day game, go do your errands, do your chores. You come back, and then it's like you watch that A&M LSU game, and then you have to like take your product and put it against that, and like you go through the championship lens thing. How are we going to shake out? I do think the fun thing is you gave me about 5 minutes to make a counterpoint there. Denbrock's offense has continued to evolve, and it's almost like game by game. You see similar things, boilerplate, okay, stamp it. But then like 1 week you see a ton of RPO. This week you saw us air the ball out because we figured we'd have time in the passing game. So you'd like to think all of these different game plans that we put on film for a playoff team down the road. Now, I don't know who your matchup is. Like, are they gonna dive into the Navy film versus diving into the A&M film? I don't know. But it makes us tough to prepare for. And then you got like the wild card in Riley Leonard, scrambling.
Yeah. You ready to go through some super chats, Mike?
Yeah, but but let's, we're 30 minutes into it. I've got a few notes on the defense I don't want to skip over, but absolutely fire away.
All right, well, here Mike cover one. Mike Nolan wants to talk to you about the linebacker play. He said lots of Osbury, Bowen seem lots of Osbury, Bowen seemed quiet, how was Snead? Surprised, no Clark.
You're playing option. Clark got in there sparingly, but you saw us actually play with a rover this game in Osbury. I'm going to do the all 22 on Patreon when I get done with you. But I did want to shout out Snead. I was very surprised because of his lack of comfort throughout his career, just kind of reading things out on the fly. I didn't think you'd see a lot of Snead this game. And lo and behold, he ties for the lead in tackles and could have had more. I highlighted this quite a bit on the all 22 last weekend. Mike, Jalen Snead is so damn fast. I don't think people like really appreciate it. And he's so fast. In every single play, he is shot out of a damn cannon. And sometimes that hurts as a linebacker because it messes up your angle. You overrun a play, you give back cutbacks, all of these things. But golly, is he explosive. And he's had kind of an up and down year. Famously, he walked off the field the one game early because, I get it. He has high expectations of himself, but this might have been the best game we've ever seen Snead play. I also want to shout out Kaiser because he is that room mother and super productive day for him. And, Bowen gets a lot of shine and KVA gets a lot of shine. And it's like, let's not forget about Jack Kaiser because he was absolutely getting kids lined up this week and making plays. Leonard Moore obviously looks great. Is he our next freshman All-American corner, by the way?
How much did Morrison play I'm curious, like how
he
much
started.
More?
I mean,
I know he started, but I don't remember.
He didn't get the first half of the season.
Right.
And then I want to give Gabe Rubio a shout out. He's had a weird, his time at Notre Dame has been weird. He stepped away for some personal reasons, missed the spring, and then he comes back, had an ankle. In a lot of ways, and I'm not trying to stir the pot, but I am kind of trying to stir the pot. in a lot of ways, he's better than Riley Mills. In a lot of ways. Just depends on what you kind of want as a linebacker. When I say, like, and Tim will know this, Rubio does a better job of, like, working down the line. Whereas, like, Mills, he's so big and he's so strong, but he's very stiff. How many times a game do you see Mills running around, like, with his hands up? Because he got loose, but he can never, like, rarely finds the ball. Versus, like, Rubio comes out of his stance, just pieces up that guard, which keeps a body off of a linebacker, and then he'll just throw off and make a play. Like, that's what you want your defensive tackle to do. Yeah. Kind of be a space eater. Rubio's playing well. And then another thought just on that game, we love to talk about rotation at running back specifically, but the D-line rotation, they drove, and they've got the ball on the goal line, and you've got Rubio and Heinisch on the goal line. And I'm like, why can't we run a Mills in there? And then that's when I think about championship lens and stuff, it's like, if we're playing, some marquee team in the playoff, like, I don't need to see in the playoff Rubio and Heinisch on the goal line together. And I love Heinisch, but I want 300 pounds. I want 600 pounds of beef in the middle. Like, work it out, figure it out.
Ben Morrison, by the way, 9 starts as a true freshman. So, I mean, Leonard Moore is, 2? So I have a hard time seeing him being a freshman All-American unless he just goes berserk here late. But he's definitely in that continuing the
he shows up.
This Mike Mickens. Mike, I want to tell you something real quick. This is going to take me a second to find this.
As you're looking, I was just going to say.
I got it. Let me do this real quick.
Shows up on film. We just need to get him a new number. Go ahead.
Did you see this tweet I put out, Mike? This little tweet graphic of, from your tweet.
Did
you see this?
Uh-huh.
Wait, where'd it go? I posted this on Instagram. I don't know if this is okay to say, but I'm going to say it. Ben messaged the Blue and Gold Instagram account. He said, "Thank you so much. This means more than you will ever know," or something like that. So, Mike, he sent that to the Blue and Gold account, but he really meant that to you. So I'm passing that along to you. Ben really, really appreciated your tweet here. So,
what's funny?
This was cool.
The way the world works, right? So I, of course, caught flack for that, right? Because like, well, what about Julian Love? And it's like, well, then you should tweet that. This was my tweet about a kid that just had a season-ending injury. It's about him in this moment in time. It's like, well, I would have thrown Love in there. It's like, okay, well, then you tweet that.
Yeah, Love was. I mean,
he's playing safety. I'm just from the way that I've seen it between he and Mike Mickens. And Cam Hart was the other one. Cam Hart was recruited as a receiver.
Yeah.
But he hasn't been as impactful as a Benjamin Morrison to me.
Correct. Cam Hart. Okay. So the tweet here for folks listening to the podcast, Mike said, "Whatever becomes of Ben Morrison's future, assuming leaves for the NFL as he should, that young man should get credit along with Mickens for turning the tide in terms of the position, the corner position at Notre Dame. He made it a strength." That's not to say other guys didn't, because yes, it couldn't have been just Ben, but these past like 3 years, it's gone. You've gone from some nice players for sure, some NFL guys, but now it is impact guys.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, Christian Gray didn't have his best game against Navy, but you went from some nice pieces. But do you guys remember playing Bama and Clemson in some of these big games and be like, man, we should get torched? Clemson and Bama got these freshman wide receivers. They're just beating us down the field. We don't have the horses at corner. Now you do. That is Goolsby's point here. And Ben Morrison, the face of Notre Dame's defensive back. Kyle Hamilton. Maybe. All right. So the cornerback position, Ben Morrison's been the face of it, and Mickens has been transformational for Notre Dame, and is 4 or 5 years since he's been here. So
yeah, and then to add on top of that, I've spoke about it many times. Like I got a chance to talk to Benjamin Morrison at the spring thing. He was in his sling. Guy had a major shoulder surgery. I did not expect him to play at Texas A&M, just knowing the procedure that he had done. The kid's a potential first-round pick. And I think we came on here, and I was like, go buy you a Benjamin Morrison jersey because, like, he's putting his, like, you know, potential career on the line to suit up to play A&M, probably sooner than maybe he could have, right? Just knowing the procedure. But yes, to your point, Singer, it's like, oh no, we got to play freshman Leonard Moore. It's like, did Mickens recruit him? Let me see what he looks like. Okay, I'm not worried about it. I'm not losing sleep over it. And then the next thing, maybe the final thought is having to see the all 22 like we do on Patreon, links in the bio. Golden, everybody's like, Golden's crazy scheme, Singer. He's this mastermind. Absolutely, for sure. But, bro, we play a ton of man coverage. And Golden could not be Al Golden if you didn't have these kids that can cover like they do.
Yeah, correct. And that's why a Christian Gray can have a bad game because, you're left on an island a lot. Shit happens, man.
Yeah, it's a weird game. Eye discipline, playing the option.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, I get it, man.
JVit says, championship lens, everyone looks mortal this year. Let's pretend we get through the next 4 years. Only 3 teams in that top tier, OSU, Oregon, and Georgia. I think Notre Dame can compete. I like it, JVit. I love the optimism. But this is kind of what we tend to do. I'm lumping us all together in this Notre Dame community, right? Social media, YouTube. It's off season. Notre Dame, we're right there, guys. We're right there. We lose to NIU, fire everyone. Is Freeman the guy? It's this, that, and now you beat Stanford and Navy and Georgia Tech, and we're just like, all right, we're right there again. It's just like, oh man, that's where my brain initially went when I read Joe's message, Mike. But yeah, he might be right. He might be right.
So if you just look at the players, it's a player-driven sport. I think the O-line, I love talking about O-line shuffle. I do. Like, who can play where, who could be backups. Our O-line next year with the backups included, unbelievable in terms of talent and potential and size. You get a Jeremiah Love back, likely have a Price back. I'm on record, I prefer Keedron Young over Aeneas Williams. I did so coming out of high school. Haven't changed my mind whatsoever. Then you can get a KK Smith involved. You can get a Micah Gilbert involved. You can get a Cam Williams involved. Who's the quarterback? The defensive backs are great. The linebackers are great. When I look at like next year's team and the coming year's teams, the only weak spot is D-line. Depth, size. But even then, I like the way Armel Mukum looks, and Mukum's got some bounce to him.
Yeah.
You know, Bryce Young. By the way, Singer, I tweeted this. Jeremiah Love has been our gunner on punt team all year long. I just never mentioned it. And you saw in the one game he had the reverse against Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Makes sense. But Bryce Young is running down on kickoff team, 6'7", like 250 pounds, whatever he is. And he's one of the first. I tried to tweet it like during the game. It's incredible. But yes, to JV's point, I think in the coming years, the only potential weak spot on paper is who's going to be the quarterback and then D-line. But outside of that, talent-wise, let's roll the ball out and play.
Okay. So I mean, on paper, you could return all your running backs besides Ford. If that happens, remains to be seen. I know Jabran Payne loves Dylan McCullough. So we'll see on that. But like, yeah, running back looks good. You get Jay Love back next year. He's only a sophomore this year. Receivers, seems like Goolsby is going to be high on them next preseason. We'll see if that sticks. I don't know.
Athletically,
KK,
Micah Gilbert, pigeon-toed, bow-legged. Cam Williams can truly run. Cam Williams looks like a shorter Julio Jones when you like watch him run. Big, kind of powerful receiver. And I know KK can fly. And that's like when I look at this team this year, I'm like, does Jaden Harrison need all these reps? Like,
how many did he even get?
It doesn't matter, but put somebody else in there.
Okay.
That's going to be, here and developing. It just.
Yeah. Okay.
Tight end, Eli Raridan.
Tight end will be fine.
This is the year to kind of like, Flanagan, Raridan.
Yeah, they'll be good.
Somebody asked Freeman about Raritan in the presser, like post-game presser. He might be our most and then you dropped the ball this week. And he dropped a couple balls in the spring game. Like, you got to lock it in, man.
Come on, Eli. You got this, bro.
Come on, Eli. Too talented.
Lock it in. Yeah. And then on the defensive line, I thought Mookum, and then I thought, man, if Traore comes back healthy and Bryce Young, that's a pretty good like top end talent for.
And you could get Patello back even, I heard. He could potentially come back.
Really?
If you think about it. With the whole COVID thing, don't quote me on that, but I swear I heard that before.
Okay. Yeah, linebackers are obviously great. And then Schuler, I mean, that 2023 recruiting class, Osbury, Bowen, Schuler, Mookum. It's a good group, man. It's a good group. But we'll move on. Gordon, why are you doing this to me, Gordon? Says Leonard bails us out a lot. Angeli is a good passer, but he's a statue. Can he realistically run this offense better than Minchie or Carr next year?
Mike, you know better than me.
Do I?
Doesn't he take when he goes in for garbage
time? Listen.
He takes a sack a week.
You know what I saw on that? That was a positive play for the Irish. You know why he took that sack? Because there was a defensive holding downfield. Navy was cheating on the play. So, Steve, you took the hit for the team. Notre Dame got a first down from that play. That's all I care about on that one, Mike. Was that there was a defensive holding. So whatever else happens is null and void.
Wait, how do you see how far down the field was this defensive holding?
You'll have to watch Goolsby's Patreon. You'll get the all 22. I'm sure Goolsby will.
Because then I'm like, he sees it, smart play. It's like maybe you let the ball go to get the PI, but then it's like, maybe you come off your read if the guy's getting pressed up.
Yeah.
So Angeli throws a nice ball. He's a big locker room guy. Team loves him. But if you go back to talking about the backyard football that I've been begging for about 3 years, I don't know if he has that. I do know he doesn't have that in his bag, whereas I know a Minchie does. And a Carr, I like Carr, I like Minchie, I like them both. But I seen Kenny get out of 2 sacks in the spring game. And I think he can do more of that backyard stuff, make throws in the run. And I thought CJ Carr is a great quarterback, but he's very clinical. Like he knows what the reads are. Again, he was watching film in utero. He's watching film in the womb.
When shit breaks down,
you kind of throw the science of it out the window and you got to go play ball. Not to say he can't do it, but that's just the limited film that I've seen. That's my take thus far.
Yeah. Gordon, thanks for the super chat, though. Mike $10 says, agree with Goolsby on Riley. Took way too much criticism, but I think his attitude is great and makes him a real Notre Dame guy. Very appreciative of Notre Dame. Very appreciative of being a Notre Dame quarterback and also prayed academies for sure Notre Dame should love. So, yeah. Mike Nolan, appreciate the $10 super chat, my friend. Definitely. I was very critical of Riley Leonard. I personally, even though I'm the biggest Steve Angeli fan around here, I never was like bench Riley and go to Steve. That did not come out of my mouth. And you've seen why Leonard has really turned a corner, getting real comfortable with Pembroke.
Just to go back to all those offseason conversations. He's an athlete playing quarterback, so he's continuing to develop. It's a kid that missed spring. Yeah, he did look bad early in the year, but the offensive line wasn't great. He's trying to get synced up. There's a ton of excuses that go into it, but he just kept getting better. I think he's probably built a better relationship with Denbrock. And so when I look at Riley Leonard now, it's like I still don't believe he's a great deep ball thrower, but what he brings to the game with his feet, we can make do.
Mike says, believe Tosh was highest rated by PFF. He was the number 2 ranked player per PFF, against the twos, and he had 18 snaps. So,
yeah, clearly, dude, bench Anthony Knapp and put in Tosh because PPF said so. I have never even been to their website. I could not care less. I always think it's interesting where it's like PFF is so interesting how it took over. Like overnight, it became like gospel etched in stone, the word of God. versus like your eyeball test.
Sure.
So I still like.
You know what I like to
If
say?
we're just
Data
going to
point.
watch PFF ratings, like why watch the game?
It's data point. It's data point. It's fun. It's something to look at. But yeah,
It annoys me. It annoys me.
Can't take it as the.
I don't know why, but it annoys me.
Mike, did we talk about the O-line position this year versus next year with,
No,
Wagner, Lambert, cross training, Will Black, and Pendleton Absher? You thought Pendleton and Absher backups to Jagasaw and Billy.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
It's just we're just spitballing here.
So that's what you like. You like Wagner keep him at right. Have Goolsby at left. No, you want Wagner over at left tackle.
Just so I can keep my ducks in a row.
Okay.
I like Emil. This is next year.
2025.
I like Wags at left tackle. Wagner. Wags and Jags. I like Jags at left
tackle. Put that
guard.
on a t-shirt.
I like Jags at left tackle.
Wait, Jags at left guard. So Wagner, Jagasaw.
Craig at center, sure. Could somebody else play? I mean, is who knows? You didn't get to see Ashton Craig a whole lot this year, right? So it's like I'm not going to anoint him as your starter next year. I'm not. And then you go Billy at right guard, and then you go Goolsby at right tackle.
Okay.
And then the backups. Will Black, if I'm O-line coach, week to week, you're going to play left. You're going to play right. I'm going to cross-train him. And then guards, I love Sullivan Absher.
Yeah.
He's a backup. And then what'd I say? See, I got and Pendleton are backups.
So Knapp.
Where does Knapp play? I don't know.
Could Knapp battle Craig for center? Do you think Knapp can play center?
I was thinking about this because I knew this would come up. I was thinking about this an hour ago.
Okay.
Not the biggest guy, but he is very athletic, great feet, but he's 6'4". He'll be 300 pounds next year.
Too big?
No, I think he can do it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
He's got great, even I love his stance. He has great bend. You could just tell he has great hips, like in his stance. And he's been a really, really good run blocker. He's just sometimes struggled in space as a pass protector. Totally understandable. So yes, I think he could. I mean, you always thought he was a guard. I think a lot of people did. He was recruited as a guard.
Guard center. That's what I thought. Yeah.
So. But I mean, you got quality depth. Or, you'd leave Knapp as a backup tackle. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
But that's your starting offensive line next year. And Craig is kind of the question mark to me because it just never made sense. And this is my logic. Emil Wagner's going to be a great player. Goolsby Lambert's going to be a great player. Jagasaw is going to be a great player. Will Black's going to be a great player. And you're not even talking about the Owen Strebigs and all these other guys behind them. It's like, why would I say right tackle, for instance, why would I let Wagner and Goolsby battle it out for the next 2-3 years? It doesn't make sense. Play them both. Right?
This is on par with what you've always thought. Just like play the younger, talented guy, let him take his lumps and play him. They're going to be better down the road.
Into the quarterback decision as well. I mean, I think it was Tyler. Shout out to Tyler Horka. That was his little our little tinfoil hat moment. It's like all the criticism of Freeman bringing in Riley, and I've been a part of that, absolutely. But it's like if the look back on this season, it's like maybe it was accidental genius because the offensive line early in the season was incredibly leaky, and it's like you had this athlete back there, and the offense was clunky, but it's like, hell, at least we can run quarterback power and keep moving the chains.
Yeah.
So when you look at next year's lineup, if I have a bunch of younger kids, big, athletic as hell, but they're young, might I want an athlete back there that can get himself out of trouble?
Yeah. I would always take who in their right mind is going to say, I don't want my quarterback to move. It's like, of course. So Stevie boy. That I love you, Steve, but that's the sacks. They're very concerning. Very concerning, Steve.
Yeah, life comes at you fast.
I had a few comments I want to get to before we end the show tonight, Mike.
All
Andrew
right.
Gilmore queued these up from throughout the show. I thought these were all good. Is Junior Tuihalamaka the most unsung player on the team? Because he's definitely been, I mean, with all the injuries on the defensive end, the two defensive end spots, you've needed guys to step up, and Junior definitely has. He's kind of gone from a forgotten guy to a key guy on the D end, on the D line.
I like that. I'll co-sign that. It's either him or maybe like a Wagner. But if you just look at Junior's career, started as a Mike as a true freshman. And again, another one of these Tim Hyde, Cali. I forget the high school he went to, but he's from Cali. Very developed kid, just a really, really, really good football player. Doesn't have the longest arms, isn't the fastest, but just smart, physical, high motor kid. He's played well. And Burnham's a kid that I've been a little bit tough on, but Burnham's playing really good.
Yeah.
Burnham's playing really well. Again, physical, hard-nosed player. I mean, I don't think either of them are elite in terms of like they're going to scare you on film, but in terms of, workman-like approach and they're playing great.
Junior Tuihalamaka, 7 tackles and 1 quarterback hurry. Tied for seconds for the Irish in tackles against Navy. It's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
ND Dan said, Singer Goolsby, what impact do you think Notre Dame hosting a playoff game would have on 25 or 26 recruits and transfers? I don't know if hosting a playoff game is going to mean much, which I guess. So that game would take place mid-December after signing day. Could you have recruits on campus? Could you do like a junior day? So this is new. I've never even thought about this. Will obviously be the first postseason game in college football on your home campus, right? Yeah, bowl games are all. So could you have recruits on campus for that? Could you have a big 2026 recruiting weekend for a home playoff game?
Why couldn't you?
I've never thought about it. Is it a dead period or something? Like it could be a dead period. Why couldn't you? Because it's never been done. I don't know. I would have to look at the recruiting calendar, but that's interesting. But I think that the better thing is if Notre Dame wins, what impact would it have? Which it would have a massive impact. It just would. It would be telling kids you can be a part of this rather than, hey, we need you so we can become this. The latter works sometimes, but the former is a better sales pitch.
When would that be? Early December, Mike?
Signing day is December 4th, so I think the playoff games, you guys can correct me, it'll be like the 10th or the 18th or something like that.
So I just wondered what the weather would be like.
Not good, but
okay,
games will span December 20th. So it starts at the 20th, but they do a junior day every January, and it's always snowing for that. So it would kind of be the same thing.
Interesting. There's, as somebody that was recruited by Notre Dame, obviously picked Notre Dame. Like if you're a potential Notre Dame fit or a Notre Dame kid, and like you kind of are attracted to whatever Notre Dame is, and you go visit to like drink it in and see if it tastes good. You could, if it was like a snowy day, snowy game, physical game, Notre Dame wins, like that type of an environment could absolutely really grab kids. It could be a powerful thing.
Yeah, definitely.
You could kind of just fantasy land. It's a snow globe in there. When I hear about those games, though, somebody's got to get back to me. When are these Notre Dame student athletes taking their finals, and how does that match up with the playoff? Because that bugs me.
A little jealous or something?
What do you mean jealous? No, I'm not jealous. I'm saying, like, are these kids going to be studying for finals, taking finals the week of like the playoff game?
Okay. I know you're like, oh man, I wish I would have had that or something like that. Okay.
No. It's a lot on those kids' plates. I mean, they're trying to go win a playoff game and they're studying for their, you name it, econ final.
Folks, if you've not done so,
finals are on Thursday and the game is on Friday. That's right, because the student body got to like move everything up so that they could like go to the game. But again, so those players are taking their finals on Thursday and they're going to play the game on Saturday. Welcome to life as a Notre Dame football player.
Yeah.
Ohio State kids aren't even going to class that week.
It's always the biggest thing I hear in talking to, like families of Notre Dame players is like, it's tough. Like that first year, it's a lot of adjusting. So if you're calling for some freshman quarterback to play, man, these kids are just trying to like adjust because Notre Dame it's not easy, as Mike can attest. We're gonna end.
Not for
folks,
me anyway.
Please hit the thumbs up on this video if you have not done so yet. If you're joining late, rewind. Started the show. I wasn't at my best, but I got back into my groove a little bit. So rewind, make sure you watch the beginning of the show as well. And hit the thumbs up, of course. Paul said, Goolsby, I really can't wait. Paul's been just hammering this in the chat. He really wants you to talk about the KVA roughing the passer call.
I mean, it's football's changed. It just is what it is. Football's changed. So what are you going to do? I don't know. I mean, it beats a targeting call or something like that, but it's a bad call. I think it was the way he kind of landed on the kid. And it truly, like, KVA kind of landed on his elbows, and maybe he could have landed in more of a push-up position. I don't know. But it's a bad call. What do you want me to say? College officiating is gross, dude. And now you've got this whole trend of fans throwing shit on the field if they don't like a call. Like, that's a bad precedent to set.
Yeah.
That's become commonplace. You've seen it multiple weekends. The Nebraska-Ohio State game had happened.
Yeah. Why is officiating so bad across sports? And is part of it because we do get like 8 different angles of it in slow-mo. We just like get to analyze it from our couch eating Cheetos. Is that a part of it? Are they actually getting worse? I don't know. But it seems to get like more. It just seems to get worse every year. But what do I know? Oh,
I'd get myself in trouble with some of these answers. So I don't know.
Backwards hat kind of guy, huh?
Yeah, it depends. But that's all I got. Somebody else was talking about. I never really read the chat because I can't do 2 things at once. I see comments about Wes Pritchett's kid Marshall going to Bama. God bless him. Amazing opportunity for him. And then the Rocco Coogan thing. Rocco Coogan thing. Again, we love them, good players and all that, but it's like they already got beat out. They're playing because of injury. So it's like you're bringing in more athletes, better size, more talent. It's like, I like Rocco. He's big, dude, but I just don't think that you can train for Twitch. He doesn't have Twitch, and another year of experience or whatever, it's not going to present itself. So it's like there's your ceiling. There's kids coming in or behind them, nipping at their heels that have higher genetic, physical potential ceilings, in my opinion.
That's going to wrap up. Baby's crying. Muted myself. That's going to wrap up this week's Mike Goolsby Show. TBD on a next Sunday show, Goolsby. I might end up doing something. I don't know. I've left the house once in 2 weeks. So TBD on a bye week show. I know we did one the last bye week. So TBD on next Sunday. But otherwise, dude, it was good to see you again after a week off, Mike. And
glad you came back. Tyler was giving you a run for your money, man.
I know. I heard someone was like, "Oh man, you gotta."
We got a lot of views. People like Horka.
I told the guy on the message board, he's like, "Oh man, Horka, you gotta replace Mike." I said, "Over my dead body. You guys will have to literally come in here and remove me from doing the Goolsby Show. It's not going to happen."
You have to peel that Xbox controller out of your cold, dead hands is what you're saying, right?
Exactly.
No, this show is foundational to the Blue and Gold channel. I don't see us parting ways. Yeah.
All right. Appreciate you, Ghouls, and appreciate everyone watching or listening. We will
JeremiahLove.com. Go get you a t-shirt.
All right. That's going to end the stream there. Appreciate you guys. We'll catch you next time.